Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. I hope it's a happy Sunday for everybody. Wow, it has been a very wild 2 weeks on SPTV. I've been following all of it. I don't watch all the videos, but I definitely read the recaps if I'm not watching videos. And last night I caught Relatable Reese's video on called Tommy, Scoville, and the Long Con. Yeah, man. I have some of my favorite people in the chat. I'm not going to be paying too much attention because I want to try to focus and pay attention, get the facts straight. While I tell you guys some things, because I've just been, like I said, I've been watching things unfold and not using my voice. And that is something that is silly because I have a platform, right? So why don't I use it? It's something I feel is important to do to support some statements that Reese made in her live last night. It's taken me so long to just unpack what happened at the end of 2023. And in 2023, I began speaking out publicly about Scientology, and things just went wild. Like my life just went into overdrive. And a lot of that had to do with new characters coming onto the scene. I kind of wanted to preface this with just so everybody has this in mind while I talk about things, some fair game stuff. So when we're talking about us ex-Scientologists coming out and speaking, they take different approaches to everybody, and they push everybody's buttons differently. And I really feel that because I've been studying psychology for so long, and I actually am working in the field, like at a mental health facility, not as a psychologist, but I'm continuing my education on that. I feel that Scientology really is not into that. Like I used to go to the CCHR protests as a child, and so think that their CCHR money, just like Aaron has stated in some of his lives, have really gone to campaign against me. And I wanted to just bring up some examples of documented fair game tactics. So it's surveillance, overt and covert, which I have experienced a lot of, character assassination online and in person, which has happened to me as well. And that initially started with ZDT and then ended up even within my own friend recovery circle. And it is really nefarious. Like, just this list of the things that they're known and documented to do. Sending strangers to befriend or spy on you, so infiltration. Legal threats and frivolous lawsuits, so lawfare. That is why I have never really spoken on the topic of ZDT, because you see what he does. Like, he's trying to say he's going to sue Aaron, and it's just pretty ridiculous. So I've tried to avoid lawfare in the best ways that I can. Strange vehicles parked outside your home, following you, direct intimidation, often through proxies, so it's deniable. Scientology hires private investigators, and it's not unheard of for those PIs to contract sketchy street-level people to add a layer of deniability. The goal is to make you feel unsafe enough to either shut up and stop speaking out, overreact so they can paint you as unstable, which is wild because that's been my whole life fear. They always make it so seem like if you mess around, like either we're going to have to come get you out of the psych hospital or you're going to be just put there and you're going to be uncredible for your whole life. So I think they had a very fine plan on me to drive me just to the point of not sleeping and not eating and just being so afraid because they applied so much pressure on me all at the same time. And that all started after publicly speaking out. They also collude with law enforcement in Los Angeles. That's well known. They hire private investigators to manipulate locals to harass you as well. So there's just a lot of documented things that I just want to keep in mind as I bring up, some of these topics. So it takes time sometimes for these things to play out, and it's been a good amount of time, and I feel like some truths are coming to the surface, especially about Tommy and about ZDT. ZDT is finally getting what he deserves, thankfully. But I have a lot to say on that topic, and I just want to kind of go through a timeline about things and what initially I was faced with when I started speaking out and did SPTV. But I don't want to negate the intensity of Reese's video last night. And she said she was afraid for her life. So I figured I should do a video to get some things on the record. And he's not going to kill both of us. It'll be very obvious if he does. But I've also stayed quiet because I just wanted to enjoy my privacy and safety. And, Tommy is very well connected in the crime world. So her points were very valid. It was very triggering to hear her stories because the same thing happened with me. I'll tell, during the timeline, but just when she started off with Tommy has some serious rage issues, I was like, yeah. And that was always my concern watching it unfold with her, because it seemed like she was saying that her ex-husband had rage issues. And then I saw her getting with Tommy and I was concerned because he loves to fight. He says it's because he's Italian and it's a show of love. If you don't fight back, which I don't, it's very offensive. But from where I come from, and I have CPTSD, I just shut down. And just similarly to how she described it, just tried to appease the situation and then get myself out of the danger. So there was a clip that she played yesterday that I think I'm going to play. It's pretty quick. And it just started reminding me of part of the feelings of terror. And it's unfortunate because he claims that's not a thing that he ever wants to do. He got so upset. He, talked about, he would call, when she says that he said she had 5 minutes to get out of her house, get the fuck out of her house, he had done the exact same thing to me after gaslighting me about losing this gorgeous watch that he had given me, which he had taken back that night to do some kind of adjustment. And he was like, oh, you lost it, and blah, blah, blah. It turns out it was there the whole time. I don't know if that's what he was mad at, but he did the exact same thing to me. It felt like it was without reason. And then when I left and got on the road with my 4 dogs and all my things really quickly, he decided to call and, discuss unaliving himself or using, which his channel is a recovery channel. So that's a lot of mental manipulation and stress on the old ex-Scientologist brain. So I did turn around and go back, which was a silly mistake. But at that point, I just knew, oh, wow, I'm dealing with somebody really intense. And I wanted to provide, credibility to Reese's story. And I have no doubt that actually happened. And sometimes it takes a little while to process. If it's been a few weeks or 8 weeks or however long it's been since all of that happened, like sometimes you just go into freeze, fight, flight, or freeze. And you just got to figure out kind of what happened and process it all, which is what I've been doing since the end of 2023. And it's just wild. So my channel is not always going to be talking about this kind of stuff or other people. I am very passionate about bringing mental health studies and research and techniques to former Scientologists so that we can cope better in life and deal with disconnection. And I also feel that this is an important video to make. I don't know if I'll leave it up forever, but I do want to set the record straight about some things, especially if there's ever, lawsuits or investigations and things come out where, I don't know, if anybody ever happens to be proven to be working for Scientology, like, Aaron has found evidence that ZDT is receiving payment from CCHR and receiving manila envelopes. And when he said manila envelopes, I got this flashback because after I had started my channel a couple weeks after we started the Degraded Daughters channel, the house across the street, some new people moved in. It was never for rent. They moved in. Extremely suspicious. I ended up checking it out. They had cameras pointed into my yard. They were driving rental cars. And it was just kind of everything that like Amy Scoville and Claire Headley have described about when they're under heavy surveillance. That was, how it definitely felt at that time. I don't really remember my point about the house across the street, but it had been, just heavy surveillance since right after I started the channel. And then all of these different incidents started happening, and Tommy witnessed some of them. But a lot of new people also came into my life, and those people are not in my life anymore. And it's a lot healthier. Fair game is real. Yeah. Dude, Alex for sure knows. Like, Alex was an initial victim of ZDT as well. So let me just show you this video real quick that she posted for part of it because it's very long. And if you haven't seen it, I do think you should go watch it because it is important. Let's see here. Okay, I'm just gonna
fire immediately. And this was probably one of the worst scenarios I'd seen. This was worse than driving back from Vegas, okay? He starts screaming in this car. You want to get away from me? You got it. Fuck you. He starts screaming. He hits the brakes at his driveway, gets out of the car, and he goes, you called me the C word. And he said, he got in my face and he said, you have 5 fucking minutes to get your shit, get an Uber and get the fuck out of my house, get out of my life. And I never want to talk to you again. And I was like, I cannot believe this is like, my body was just like, at this point, I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't deal with this. So he gets in my face again. He goes, 5 minutes. I'm counting now. Get your shit and get the fuck out of my house. Get yourself an Uber and get the fuck away from me. You're never going to come back here. You'll never talk to me again. Get your fucking shit and get out. I'm like this at this point. I was in his driveway. His mom and his brother are in the house. And I said, I can't. I've been here for a week. I've been here 7 days. I can't get my stuff in 5 minutes. And he said, then you better get what you can. And you're going to have to leave the rest behind. You're fucking out of here. So I had a bag in the car.
Okay, so that was just pretty much the exact same scenario that happened, except we were in his house and he came up to me. I was standing in his garage, I don't know, looking for something, and it was, I guess his nephew had just stolen his Porsche, which we find out later is not even his. Definitely got lied to about a lot of things. I thought that house was his. Apparently it's not. He definitely had a story that he stuck to. But yeah, he came up and just said, I want you to get the fuck out of my house. You got 5 minutes, packed all my shit into I was just terrified. He was so scary. And I don't like yelling. It's not a thing that I tolerate well. It's just not good for my nervous system already. That's like in shock all the time. So I did. And then I got about an hour and a half away. And I remember he just kept calling, sending me voice memos like, I'm going to kill myself. Please come back. I'm so sorry. And I ended up talking to Liz Ferris, who was another person who just randomly came into my life after starting the YouTube. And she convinced me to go back and give him another shot. And so I did. And then other things happened, which I will definitely talk about. But I just wanted to give some credibility, at least, to that part of her video, and talk about his rage issues and validate that. And I understand why she is afraid right now, because Johnny is like, it's like the Tommy and Johnny show. Like it's Tommy and Johnny against the world. So when you're getting in a relationship with Tommy, you're also getting in a relationship with Johnny. And we even sat down one day and had a discussion about how possibly I could be the Yoko in the situation. And we were going to have to move on from Johnny and like start a new channel by ourselves and this and that we were going to be trying to do a Hulu show and we're going to move and this and that. It's just, it was wild. But I do remember one time also Tommy getting really mad for me going on a walk getting mad at me, going on a walk, and then just I got back to the house and I asked Johnny where Tommy went, and he just like gave me this look, like shaking his head. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go look for him, because he used to just storm off, sometimes without shoes, for like hours on his feet. So anyway, she also brought up some text messages that she saw between Johnny and this woman, and in it there was a text that said 2025 is scripted, like you just need to not mess it up. That was the woman speaking to Tommy. And it just really gave me a lot of kind of like flashbacks. Like there were so many odd things that I also thought about during our time together, and eventually even essentially said that I felt like he was Osa, and that got him really upset. And so when he started dating Reese, there were people who I knew who knew both of us, because I don't know her. I know that they tried to warn her the best they could, but I also was keeping a lot to myself because I was just afraid of, like, you know, things. And I think you'll understand more as I continue to talk as well. So when we started a YouTube channel, I think it was early summer of 2023, my friend Alicia and I started a channel together, and it blew up really quickly. It was awesome. Like, we were on Aaron's channel early on when everybody was kind of getting along a lot more, and we were having really interesting guests, and we were getting a lot of support. It was just really cool. And within weeks, this ZDT, Zero Dark Tony character came on the scene and just became obsessed with me and waging war on me, making videos daily for months about me. And it was essentially, oh no, you can't hear anything? Let's see. Everything okay? Let's see. If you guys can't hear anything, let me know. Okay. And essentially, ZDT was like trying to get at Aaron, but it was initially something that started because I left a comment saying that I didn't think it was responsible for him and Dana to be promoting information about essentially the satanic panic and connecting Scientology and these alleged underground tunnels that were proven to not be real in Los Angeles and all this different stuff. And he didn't like that. And right away they started, well, you know, they started commenting back. I ended up deleting the comment. I was just like, you know, maybe I shouldn't have said that. Oh man, that started a war. Every day they were talking about me. ZDT made merchandise with mine and Alicia's faces on them as a paddle and as quote unquote cum towels that he was selling, literally for sale. Like, it was in my shopping cart. I just didn't want to spend $100 on you know, slander merchandise. I probably should have if I ever want to, you know, bring anything else like that. So Aaron kept telling me he's not Osa, he's not Osa. I created a document and like a 25-minute video of how I felt that ZDT was connected to some kind of attack on us. I had clips of him where he's literally reading off a script. He's talking into an earpiece saying, you're gonna blow my cover. Like, it's really, to me, it was really obvious, but it almost felt like everyone around me was gaslighting me because they're like, you're tripping, just don't watch it. And I felt like I had to watch it because he was making criminal threats on my life. And I went to the LAPD. They actually took a criminal threat to court and ended up turning it over to the DA. The DA did not pursue charges like they did in the case of Solomon. So I'm so incredibly excited that he's finally facing some kind of justice for being such a threatening individual to so many of us in the ex-Scientology community and protester community. And I think when we look back at this period of time, we'll be like, oh, that was obvious. This was obvious. You know, I don't know if we'll ever get certain proof that we want, but it's, you know, anyway, so he became obsessed with just ruining my life. He had his followers calling my workplace. He was just constantly like, he even said, you know, bitch, if someone wants to find you, they're going to find you. If someone wants to hurt you, they're going to hurt you. And it was just scary. And Aaron kept saying, oh, he's not going to come to your house. I just kept being like, I'm just afraid he's going to come to my house. So I was pursuing a restraining order on him. And it was really, really hard to get him served. And he was not at the location that we thought he was at. And then finally, they did end up serving him at the location. And the location was a penthouse on the same block as a really important Scientology building. So it just made even more sense. It was just so bizarre. But I ended up sending this document that I had created out to so many people. So many people didn't care. Tori Magoo just said, you know, ignore it. Like, step away from the stove if the fire's too hot. Like, stuff like that. And it just really dismissed it. So when Nora speaks about that, because Nora became involved in it in the first place because she came to my defense in the chat, as did Liz Gale and Marilyn. Then they all got their own campaign of hate against them. But when she discussed with Aaron in her video last week that, you know, she really felt like nobody cared and this and that, I understood completely, but I had also rang the alarm bells and completely seen that for some reason it was just a non-issue for people, that we were being comically mocked and harassed. And when they took it to calling our workplaces, it just became way too much. And for just speaking out against Scientology, like, we get this kind of harassment. It was very bizarre. So then, you know, people show up on the scene. We get emails from so many random people, and you're just like, are these people real? You know, there's people emailing me asking if I had done mushrooms before, or no, I'm sorry, LSD, which is such a Scientology thing. There were cars all the time following me. There were people who were just going into stores behind me and not buying anything and then coming right back out. It turns out they're parked next to me and they're just staring at me, sometimes filming. It was really a lot of just exactly what I expected, but a lot more intense, because it seems like they didn't do that to a lot of people who I was, you know, in touch with at the time. So then I had gone to a secret location with someone who had written to me and asked if I could help their former Scientologist, and they wanted help getting their dad out. So I was like, okay, like, I felt like I wanted to be a good person. So we went with Jeffrey Augustine and went out to this top secret base. And I created a documentary, and I thought I was being really helpful at the time, created, a hashtag, and I don't think Scientology liked that at all. So they just kept upping the pressure. They definitely didn't like that I was working with Jeffrey Augustine. It was just like a nightmare. So then, Alex was being attacked. He tried really hard to get charges because he had things. My detective even asked me, who's Chris? And he was talking about Chris Shelton, because in the video, or one of the videos I had sent, ZDT had told Chris Shelton to open up, and he was talking about a firearm. And the detective was interested in that. And I did end up telling Chris about that because, it's a threat as well. So then the Masterson trials happened, and Tommy came out. Aaron invited him, and they had met online because Tommy wrote to him and was like, if you need information about prison, I can talk about it. And so they ended up just clicking that way. And then Aaron invited him out to join him for the trial to talk about that portion. Tommy went live first thing when he walked out of the courthouse, and he got a lot of views. He was the first channel to go live, and I ended up meeting him that evening. We hung out with Aaron at the Roosevelt, and also Laura and a couple other people. I also met Alan Valentine that night. Hello to everybody in the chat. Thank you for coming. See you. So that night we had actually a really nice time, but it was interesting listening to Tommy and Aaron talk about, their subscriber count blowing up and all this stuff. And it was actually really cool because they were getting attention on the right thing, I thought, After that, we stayed in touch. That night, Tommy said he had like some kind of crazy spiritual experience when he saw me. And this only happened when he was dating a witch before, and he had to go to the bathroom because he was sweating so hard. And I had made him shake and all this kind of stuff. So he was pretty funny that night, and we ended up staying in touch. He came back to visit. I could tell that Aaron wasn't super stoked that we were hanging out, but not from like a jealousy thing, from like a protective big brother kind of thing. And I was talking to him a lot at that time. And I could tell he was just like, ooh, like you could do your own thing, but maybe not. And obviously in hindsight, he's an ex-con. What was I thinking? But our community is vulnerable to a lot of things because of the way that we were raised, and what we were taught is powerful and respected. And we're totally used to dealing with really intense people, unfortunately. And sometimes I find myself just attracted to those people because of the intensity level. And that reminds me of, church members and former church members and stuff. So he had came back. We went to the protest at Celebrity Center. The Jane Does were there. It was a really powerful day. And I had a nice time with Tommy. But like she mentioned in his video, he's always going out every once in a while, talking on the phone. He's talking to some guy named Rick. And he definitely had agendas that started becoming, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm suspicious now because obviously Scientology has a history of sending people into your life, becoming close to you we're reporting on it, on you the whole time. It's happened many times. So anyway, I continued to go through with, the continuances. Oh, that night, Tommy and Aaron actually tried to serve ZDT for me. They went to the building, they went upstairs. It wasn't him at the door, but they did try to go serve him, which I really appreciated. And then I had court dates where I had to get continuances. And somebody actually who was a subscriber ended up helping me pay for a service to get him served, and they made it happen. But then, I don't know, something happened on the court saying I was doing all of this myself. It was expensive. I was representing myself. I was like paying for parking at the courthouse, going, all this stuff. And I kind of just like gave up on it at a certain point. And it was also because Scientology was exerting so much pressure. And I was also in this somewhat abusive relationship with Tommy Scoville. So the really bizarre things started happening when I went to Arizona. And there's things I'm going to talk about, and there's things like I'll keep with me for a while because it's still scary. But when I went to Tucson and stayed with him for a little while, we had gone out to dinner. It was very clear that we were being followed, and it was clearly Scientology because it was like white people with walkie-talkies in a black SUV. And we even went down like little side streets to try to get away from them. It was so clear it was them because they kept following us and they were like on their walkie-talkie. So we get back to, like, we drove around a little bit, lost them, get back to the house, and we were going to bed. My dog wakes up and he's just freaking out. And so he like gets up, races outside. He can't have firearms in the house because he's a criminal. So he just goes out there. And turns out there were two people on the property who were there to photograph us and try to catch some kind of like sex tape or something and use that because one of them ended up, there was definitely a scrap, like they got into it and he had a huge welt on his face when he came back. And then there was another incident, and there's a lot more to that story that I'm just leaving out because it's crazy. But Scientology was definitely trying to be intense at that point. I went home, and the next day there was another man on his property who he ended up going out to confront, and the guy said that he had been picked up at the Home Depot, I think, and was just paid a certain amount to go onto the property and just mess around and make noise and see what was going on and just be trouble. But he, left and whatever. So that was worrisome because, Tommy has, like I said, connections, and he knew that I was concerned. He said he was going to start having his guys watch me. And, there are resources in that world too that they, do have people in places. And after a little while in Los Angeles, it started to feel like there was some kind of multiple people who were intimidating and harassing me, and I couldn't figure out if it was LAPD, if it was just Scientology, if it was them colluding, if it was gang members, if it was organized crime members. It felt like all of them, and it was happening quite frequently after that. And he told me a lot of things, like he just opened up a lot. And so I was just concerned for my safety after that. So much so, I ended up moving out of town to get away from LAPD, Sheriff's Department, and it has just been so much better since I got out here. They followed me for a couple weeks, and then they pretty much left me alone. I do get checked on, and there are odd cars outside my house still. Somebody followed me home from work 2 weeks ago, but nothing like it used to be, which I'm really pleased with. So I hope that doing this video doesn't bring any, thing else. But at the same time, I'm just going to be honest with you guys and hopefully have a support system here that can help me keep track of it. So anyway, the DA turned over my report Detective Rifkin, Foothill Division, 41852 for the record, turned over my report to the DA at the end of 2023 on Anthony D'Amato and his threats and stuff. Also wanted to say that it's been so bizarre watching Reese and Tommy and this whole thing, because I do understand how intoxicating it can be when you're being love bombed by somebody like him. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, how did this even happen? He's disgusting. I know that because I see it on Reddit and stuff, but for whatever reason, it works. And he definitely was low key trying to save me, and would be so excited if I turned into a Christian, which watching her evolution into this faith, I'm just hoping is different. It's not based on, his influence. And I'm hoping she really does have a connection, because that would be wonderful. I try. He also referred to me as his fiance and sent the same photos as that ring to me and was like, I will get a different one if you don't like it, and all this kind of stuff. Another thing that Reese had mentioned in the past, not last night, was that when they were out together, a person came up to her and did this motion. And that also was happening to me. And that was initially what happened that just freaked me out so badly as I was driving. And a straight gang member drove up next to me and did that, stared at me and went like that. And it just freaking freaked me out. And I don't know what that means. Reese also said she didn't know what that means. I don't know if somebody knows what that means. Please let us know, because it felt like either Scientology had paid a local gang to harass us, or somebody else did. I don't know. So anyway, even though I've gotten out of town and I'm not doing videos like I used to, ZDT is still reposting old videos about me and stuff. And there's videos that are so slander filled. And part of my attraction to Tommy, to be honest, was that ZDT was driving me nuts at the time. So being connected to a little bit of muscle and somebody who didn't give it crap and was like, I'll go back to jail defending you, that was just, also intoxicating and felt good at the time. We were only dating for a couple months, but towards the end, when essentially Scientology drilled all of this fair game so hard on me, that was when we ended up breaking up, and he just wasn't there for me at all. And listening to Reese's recordings of him talking about actually being a con man, it was just so triggering, because he talks like that, and listening to him and his tone when he talked about you're toxic, it's your fault. Like, you know, I've sat through that before as well. Dating Tommy was definitely bad for my relationship with Aaron. I remember Tommy telling me, oh yeah, I told Aaron today, like, I'm in love with you, but I mean, you're psycho, but I love you. And I remember just being like, what are you even talking about? Like, I didn't even stick up for myself. I was like, oh, that's funny. But like, huh? I'm not. And you're just telling my close friends that. So I think Aaron probably didn't really appreciate when Tommy started dating another friend of his, but I never told Aaron about some of these crazy things that had happened because I just figured, I don't know, I'm a former cult member. Like, to me, I just get traumatized and I just do it. And just go, just take my space and have to process it. So, like I said, I do understand why if Reese saw all this stuff a while back, why it took her so long to process. And I'm so happy to see Poe in the chat. Thank you, Poe, for being here. I know you have gotten a lot of harassment and fair game yourself and decided to close your channel because of it. And it sucks. So, watching Reese's close to 3-hour live last night, I highly recommend you can listen to it on double speed if you need to, because she's going through it currently. And if we all support her through this and try to reserve judgment, I think she deserves that as a second gen. Like I said, I don't know her at all. I don't, not even a little bit. And I just wanted to make my own, transcript for the record in case we ever go find out that some of these people were influenced by the Church of Scientology or who it was in the end. Because we know there's been so much discord in this community that you really, I mean, who's who? And I wanted to put my just suspicions on record because I think that there definitely has been OSA involvement, and I think it's been ZDT, but it's also been other people starting whisper campaigns and coming between creators and ex-members and breaking up support systems, making it so people don't want to speak. When I saw Aaron and Nora speaking together on that live, I just wanted to speak so badly because they were, the thing is that Aaron finally said, hey, is there anything you want to apologize for? Maybe to Nora or Vanessa? Is there anything maybe you want to apologize for those cum towels? Aaron finally got to say it to him in person. That was a gratifying moment when Aaron was outside of the courtroom, and it was a live from last week. So having him finally confront him, like, I understand why Aaron and Nora even did the live together, because she probably felt emotionally, to some degree, like at least he was acting like a brother, like that, and we expected that a long time ago. He did finally actually apologize to me for not understanding how intense it was and stuff like that. I think it was late 2023, and I did appreciate it. But what she says is true, that it felt like nobody even gave a crap. And that's not true, not nobody. A lot of people did, but nobody rallied and supported as much as they did until obviously he started attacking the TikTok community, and then horribly an underage child, which I'm glad that he did, because he revealed his true self, and there can be action taken against him. Jeffrey Augustine all got videos. He even used to do videos about Tommy. I guess last night he even did a video about Reese. Like, it's so disturbing the amount of vitriol that comes out of this guy's mouth, and I have no doubt that he is getting paid somehow, even if he doesn't even know he is, by Scientology. But love to you guys too. Thank you for being in the chat. Seriously. Anyway, so it's been very bizarre watching this last year of Reese and Tommy and their Cults and Crims channel and all of that. And no judgment to Reese, because I understand, I've been there. He was going to call our channel Beauty and the Beast. So he's definitely a smooth talker, but he's also a crazy person. And he does have some different types of personalities that come out sometimes. And it's terrifying. So I don't think he will attack both of us. I don't think he'll attack either of us. I just wanted to go on the record, support what she said, possibly what anybody else said. He did not ever take money from me. I never gave him money. He just claimed to be in love with me. And truly, I cared about him very deeply. And I thought I was really in love with him. It's embarrassing to think about how much I was conned. But it's also a warning that people can just slide into this community and take advantage of anybody, I'm not a fan of DOA, and that's another one who came around the same time and created chaos. And it's just wild how far a little bit of love bombing goes. And truly, I've seen a lot of other women say that Tommy swindled them, he stole money from them, he slept with them, all these kinds of things. It's really unfortunate, but I guess we should have known when dealing with a con man. I literally was raised by the word of a con man, and hip hip hooray to L. Ron Hubbard, the greatest con man in my eyes at the time. So it kind of makes perfect sense, but I've gotten enough time a little bit to process what was going on. Now, I don't know. Sometimes I thought he was working with the FBI. Sometimes I thought he was OSA. I don't know what this guy's deal is, if he's just a common criminal. But let's hope that this video doesn't, get me any visitors or followers. And if they do, I'll just report on it, you guys. I'll record it just like I did last time. Working on putting together finally a timeline of everything that happened, and just putting in the pictures and the photos of the people who were doing the harassment for the record. Anyway, I hope that I can be of help to people in the future. I am working on my graduate degree for social work. And when I'm done, I will be a licensed social worker after my hours, of course, and hopefully be able to do work with former cult survivors and people who have suffered from PTSD and CPTSD, like a lot of us in cult recovery communities have. Honestly, thank you, Leisha, Havey. I hope you feel some amount of relief and vindication. Freaking finally, man. I feel like I've been screaming this out at the top of my lungs and nobody was listening for, close to 2 years, and it was crazy making. So it's really, really nice. And seeing, hopefully, it looks like ZDT is going to do some major jail time. And then also having Tommy's true colors come out. There was no way I was going to be able to explain all of this. He's such a good con man that I didn't even try, with Chicago Jane in the house, somebody who's always been there for me. I really appreciate. Alex, you said something earlier. I'm glad why do you think people don't like you? I'm glad people are finally believing that you've been trying to say what we've been trying to say for months. I'm so happy for you that you feel some safety. All my love and light be. Yeah, thank you. Alex said for a while it was only really you and me that saw it. I remember we spoke to each other every day to support each other. It was horrible. Only when he started attacking other people did they see it. Yeah. And then they had to deal with really bad consequences themselves. I mean, Nora lost her job. Like, I had to involve HR because his minions were calling and making all these reportings and all this different kind of stuff. So it's just a freaking nightmare. Like, it was just a nightmare. And then we never even were able to, and Tommy used to just all the time, analysts used to be like, oh, your channel, like, you're great, but your co-host sucks. Like, they're horrible. Like Alicia just said, I never liked Tommy. Remember all the laughs my overprotector mom brought us? Yeah, well, he used to be behind the scenes talking shit as well as Liz did as well. So it's just weird that there were just all these people who came in, and I'm just trying to bring it back to basics and be like, okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. This was a fact. Scientology has been known to do these things. Let's all use our brain. If, he's just a bad guy, he's just a bad guy. He's just trying to use, us being Scientologists to boost his content. And fine, I get it. I already knew that. He was very obvious about it. He used to show me the stats and Scientology trending. And anytime he did a show on it, talking like he's some kind of authority, he would get thousands of views. So I do understand. That's why it was just a little sad to see him with Reese, literally by New Year's. And it appears that she literally left her husband for him. I mean, not that she wouldn't have. I don't know her. I don't watch her show most of the time. I've seen a few episodes, but it seems like she was literally really smitten by Tommy, and I know how that feels. And so if you guys can support her, if you know her, please do. Also, if I can, figure out a little bit more about what his motivation is. I don't know why he said 2025 is scripted. That's super weird. And he did say a few other bizarre things in my time with him that I'm still trying to figure out what they mean, and what his role in becoming part of this community is. But it seems like we were targeted for sure. And, oh, that's a great question, Peter Anderson. So we love our weekly show, me and Danny. We would love to bring it back. The thing is with StreamYard, they actually charge you a lot of money every month if you want to do dual streams, and we just haven't wanted to pay that $80 for it. So maybe if the channel starts, bringing funds in and stuff and memberships, then that would be really fun to do again. I'm going to try to start making some videos on topics of things that I'm studying at the time. Oh, that's a good idea. We could trade off. Because it'll help me to solidify what I'm learning. Right now I'm on the Family Assessment Handbook. My next class, which starts next week, human behavior and the larger social environment. So that should be pretty interesting when it comes to groups and cult behavior and stuff like that. She said, barely Bree, I'm so sorry for what you went through. I've known them both in real life in the past, missing so many from Tom Scoville. She truly was in love with him, believed him, as many of us have had bad partners before. Yeah, I was in love with him too, and I truly believed him as well. It's just a study in be careful with who you associate with and who you give your heart to, because easily we end up in these situations where were being emotionally abused, and it's really hard to get out of, and especially when they're such threatening individuals and have such intensity when they scream, and it just becomes a practice of, what do I do to keep myself safe, after the love bombing and after the good times, because he's hilarious, and there were a lot of good times that we had, and it's definitely like, oh my god, this is gonna be great. I thought Johnny was hilarious. Fortunately, I wised up after a couple months. He made it very clear last night that he is a con man running a con. I'm just not sure what the con is. And if you guys have any input on that, I mean, I get it. He's taking money that's being donated allegedly and using it for himself, which totally makes sense. But that doesn't seem like why does he involve Reese with that? Like, I know he did used to say that he admired her ability to YouTube and stuff like that, about the money always in the ego. Yeah, I mean, definitely true. But anyway, thank you guys all for being here and listening. Just want to get all that off my chest, because ZDT is getting justice. His victims are getting some kind of justice, especially if he's able to be put behind bars for a while. There's probably going to be always people infiltrating like this. We should probably be ready. So feel free to comment, leave your thoughts. I don't want to be harassed, but I do want to stand with Reese in solidarity of just being another ex-Scientologist that had the same experiences that she did with Brett Miller. And I just wanted to say a few things about the ZDT history. And I do want to say thank you so much to Jeffrey Augustine for helping me during that time, because he was always running background reports and helping me to do the, police reports and stuff like that. So he really was such an ally. And I think that also infuriated Scientology and made them go after me harder. ZDT was making horrible videos about him and Ken. And it's just unfortunate because, like I said in the beginning, their whole thing is to come into the community and disrupt the community. And so having all of these crazy things happen right after we spoke out, glad I took a break, but I'm also not afraid of Scientology. I think I got my taste of what my worst nightmare was, and there's no going back from that. So I don't think they're gonna be able to have the same effect that they did last time if they ever tried again, So I do hope that you guys all subscribe if you're not subscribed. I hope you all know that I appreciate you. Miss Chicago Jane, you've always been incredibly great and a good friend. Thank you so much. Buckled Up Buttercup, thank you for posting this. I had no idea, but I'm getting vibes that people used to think don't feed the trolls. It just made the pressure worse. Glad to have you back online. Yeah, that's what Aaron advised us to do big time. He was like, just don't talk about it, don't think about it, don't give him your power, which I completely understand and was really trying to subscribe to. I think this will be the thank you, Alicia. Subscribe and hit the like button for this beauty. I think I was really trying to not even have to acknowledge that this guy's out there, or my relationship with Tommy, because it became a non-issue. But to see him do it to another former Scientologist, and she's on here crying and scared for her literal life. Like, I had to say something today. I'm going to be back. I'm not gone, but that was definitely a wild ride that happened right in the year of 2023 and scared me off for a little bit. And I think Scientology accomplished exactly what they wanted, and we're not going to give Scientology what they want ever. Like, ever, because fuck them. They have my parents, and my parents are still disconnected from me, as are a lot of my really good friends. And it's not a fight that we're going to stop. Like Leah has always said, they create people who do not want to back down from this fight. And they created me. They created a bunch of people who are really passionate about this. And we might not see eye to eye. You guys might get distracted on, you know, the drama sometimes. And sometimes it's going to happen. Like, I didn't want to be drama, but some of these things needed to be said for the record. You know, like, just who knows what's going to happen in 5 years. We could have some kind of investigation, and it comes out that this person was, you know, paid by CCHR the whole time, etc. Like, you just don't know. And I want to always speak my truth. I'm not going to be afraid to do that. So I appreciate that you guys are here with the support. It's really kind. Alicia says, babe, before we drop our bodies, we will get our promise towels. We've earned them. Love you. Yeah, I think we've earned them. And, you know, Gail said she was going to make some. So thank you so much, Culty Clips. Yes, I got a wonderful year in 2024. I had a year of cult specialized therapy. It was incredible to work with somebody who knows the lingo and the concepts I've been studying about cults for the last, you know, whatever, since I left forever, 9 years ago or something. Alex says, we got your back, as they said in High School Musical. We're all in this together. I guess so. To some degree, we are. Thank you. You just keep doing you, young lady. Always take care of yourself first. It's been a really big lesson. And I've learned self-care because I was running on fumes after the Tommy situation. Like, I remember thinking I was going for a vacation, just came back like same as Reese had described, just frazzled, nerves on edge, shaking, all of this stuff. And maybe I should have spoken up more at the time. I told a couple people, but I wasn't public about it, and I didn't tell Aaron. I just didn't want to involve him on the drama aspect of it. And I was also worried, you know, because of his lifestyle. Yeah, Danny says, we definitely have a real tolerance for trauma, built tough. Yeah, we are built tough. Especially those of us who have been through the fair game process now. It's kind of wild. It's like the extra level of role baiting that we are now there, completely disassociate at will. Anyway, I'm going to chill, and I'm glad I was able to say some of these things. I will see you guys soon. Thank you for your support, and stay safe, please. Thank you.